best performance, and we're recording the session, to be at my best performance and help other people to be at their best. And so that's why one of my companies is called Shine. So the others are, you know, fun and family and love and excitement and adventure. And my values shifted quite a bit. And after that time, you know, I was only 21 years old at that time. It was a big change in my life, and it just made me much more open and adventurous. And what I could note was that before that time, I would have these events in my life that had a lot of fear and anger involved in them. But after I managed to, we healed that event in the past, there was no longer that repetition of events that had a lot of fear and anger. So this is why values are so important to me. I'm so super passionate about values because they really had a huge impact on my life. And one of the things I found is that people will move away from their values over time. They will get busy with work. Their family will get super busy with moving house or with whatever challenge is coming up with the family. Or lockdown, or whatever it is that you're going through, you kind of move away from your values, what's really important to you. And there's a big problem with that, because it means that your life satisfaction drops. You start to get frustrated, you start to not be as happy as you would normally be, and it can impact your relationships. It impacts your self-worth and your sense of value. And so what we need to do is every 6 months or so is go back to our values and have a look at them and think, am I really living my values at the moment? And what could I do to live my values more, both at work and in my home life? Because I need to get back to what's really important to me and what makes me the best version of myself. And we need to get back to that, because the pendulum of life keeps swinging, right? The pendulum will swing, you'll get busy with work and you'll get so focused on a project that you're working on that you stop living your values, and you kind of need to go, hang on, I need to reassess, step back, because you may get burnt out. And I do quite a lot of coaching with individuals. Often I'm coaching people because they're getting burnt out. They're not really very happy with their lives. And number one thing I need to do with people is to get them to assess their values and to think about what's really important to them, and get back to that and create an action plan to say, okay, how am I going to live my values more given the scenario, given the situation? Given the fact that I'm in lockdown and I can't leave my apartment, how can I live my values? And that's definitely a challenge, because, you know, suddenly your external environment changes enormously and suddenly you've got different priorities and things shift. So what we want to do is go, okay, hang on, what can we do to make the most of this situation? What can I do to be the best version of myself? So this is what we're going to be looking at today, is diving into values and thinking about what is really important to you. And I want to get you guys into a quick breakout room early on, just to share with a couple of other people what's really important to you at the moment in your life. As you reflect, before we go into actually doing the values elicitation, because we've got a fantastic tool for you to help you with your values. But I'd like you just to do values, to run your values. First of all, just think about what's most important to you and why, and write them down so that you can then bring those into the session where we actually run through the values tool that we're going to share with you. So I'm going to put you into a breakout room, and we'll have 3 people in each room, if that's okay. And we will give you, I'm going to give you 9 minutes in the breakout room, which is not long. What's most important to you? Let me ask Ariel. Hi, Ariel. Could I ask you to share? What's most important to you?
Share for me or for my team, for my chat room?
For you, for you.
Okay. For me, my values, I still believe in strongly that love and also satisfactory.
Yes. So those are very high values for you. And how
value is value that you cannot measure it's medium or high or low. It's value, and I try to assess it every day. From after this class, I will try to remind myself if I assess it every day.
Love it. Sounds good. Sounds good. Absolutely. How to get back to it, how to experience it more. Good stuff. Thank you. Yes. Roy, how about for you?
Yeah, I think yeah, my key values are just have my family have a good quality of life, and that's why I have to really work hard and earn more money, and also enrich myself to just get improve in the work, and yeah, it means the aim is to just earn more money and have just my wife and also my brother have a better quality of life. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, particularly in Asia, we tend to find very, very common that people put family very high up as like number one, number two, number three in their values. Less so in the West. It's interesting. It's like cultural difference. You know, that and you see that in people's lives, right? In Asia, people very much focus on education, improving the life for their family. You know, how can I earn more money so that I can make my family better and save up enough for an apartment to pass on to the next generation. So it's quite interesting running values in different countries, because you kind of notice there's different most important focuses in people's lives. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, let's dive into a little bit of the content. So what we really want to do is understand ourselves better, understand what drives us, and help us to get more satisfaction in life. But also, a great thing about studying values is that you also understand your team members, and you can begin to realize that my team members have different values to me. And that's important, because actually everybody has different values, slightly different. There may be some similarities, but everybody actually is driven by different things. So it's important to reflect and to kind of go, hang on, my team, you know, I'm trying to motivate my whole team in exactly the same way, but actually perhaps I should change the way that I'm motivating certain team members based on what's really important to them. And having that flexibility can make you a really impactful leader and much more effective manager. So what are values? Very simply, they're what's most important to a person. They very much act like our rocket fuel. They drive us forward. They're sort of the reason we get up in the morning and do what we do. So they drive us forward. And what's really nice is to make sure that we also have some goals that are connected to our values, so that we can live our values more. So it's good to reflect. So, you know, every now and again, we want to step back and reflect and think, okay, so what goals should I be setting that would really help me to live my values more? When our values are broken, this is when we get really upset. So for example, some people have a very high value of fairness. And when they see something that's really unfair happening, they get really angry, they get really upset, and you know, they can have a battle with someone else. That's often the case in organizations. But when our values are met, this is when we feel really satisfied with life. This is when we sleep more deeply. This is when we have that big smile on our faces. And, you know, we just think everything's right with the world. But one thing to be aware of is every argument you've ever had has been based on values. So let that sink in. Every argument, every fight that you've had with someone else has been based on values. Why do we argue? It's because I think something is more important and you think something else is more important, and we battle. But what's really valuable or really useful is to kind of think, okay, so what's the value here that this person is focused on? What's most important to them? And what's most important to me? And work out, well, what's the win-win here? So I'll give an example. So I was running a training for a very big American software company a few years back. And we were having a look at a fight that was going on over email. And they were battling, these two managers were battling with each other. They were getting so angry with each other. And it ended up that senior management had to step in because these people were really getting very aggressive with each other. One of the managers was focused on quality. And he was saying that this product that we're making has to be much higher quality. We've got to get it right. And the other manager was saying, no, we've got to meet the deadline. Don't be ridiculous. We have to get the project completed. And so they're battling with each other and they're fighting and they're calling each other names and they're being mean and they're being rude to each other. And one of them is saying, no, quality is important. And so, no, the deadline's important. And actually, if you look at it, you know, well, they're both important. But what we need to do is work out what's the best quality that we can make given the deadline or perhaps a small extension to the deadline so that we get the best quality in the quickest possible time. And what they needed to do was get together and think about what's the win-win here. Because there's always a win-win. When you're creative and you can think outside the box, there's always a win-win. There's no need to battle with each other. There's no need to fight as values are concerned because you can both win. If you're creative, you can find a win-win. I'll give you an example from my life. So my wife is from Hong Kong and she has 5 sisters, big family. So we have 5 brother-in-laws. There are 7 nieces and nephews, and there's also her mum as well. Big family, very, very noisy family, absolutely brilliant. And we would go out before COVID for dinners together a lot and get together with the family a lot. And I would feel a bit left out because everybody would kind of be talking Cantonese together and my Cantonese is really rubbish. And when I did talk to people, I would kind of, I would say, oh, hey, so how was your weekend? Then the family members would say, oh, didn't really do anything. I just studied with my son, helped him with his homework. I'd be like, okay. Didn't have much, it felt like we didn't have much to talk about. I felt kind of disconnected. And it got to a point where we had a lot of days where we had a lot of dinners together with the family. And I was kind of thinking, should I go? Maybe I just go out with my friends. Because, it's another dinner that we've got to go to. And the thing is, my wife's number one value is family. Her family is super, super important to her. And I knew if I said that to her, that I didn't want to get together with her family, I wanted to go and do something with my friends, she would get quite upset. And she would say, do you really care about my family and that kind of thing. So what I did is I reflected and I thought, okay, how can we make a family get together a win-win? And so what I did is I jumped on Amazon and I ordered some games. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to bring this game to play with the family together. And my wife was like, brilliant, they'll love it. And I was like, okay, cool. So we did. So I brought along this really fun game where everybody gets involved and there's lots of guessing about other people. And we all played this game at the family dinner and I was the one who ran it. And I really enjoyed myself. One of my top values is fun. And I love also personal growth, growing and learning. And this was a great opportunity for me to actually learn and to grow. And so we had a really, really fun evening where we had dinner and we played a game and all the kids got to learn English. So all the brothers and sisters were really happy because education is super high on their values. And so it was kind of this win-win-win situation where I could have made the decision to go off with my friends. And that would have upset my wife and we wouldn't have had this wonderful event. So if you're creative, if you can think outside the box, there's always a way to find an event, an action, something you can do where you can live your values with your partner, with your friend, with your manager. But what we need to do is we need to work out what are those values and what is it that we could do and try and experiment, do something different to live those values at the same time. So great if you're able to connect with people more deeply and help other people live their values as well. A lot of managers, a lot of leaders make the mistake of trying to communicate based on their own values and not the values of the person they're talking to. And so what we do need to do to be really effective as a leader is understand the values of our team members and help them to live their values, find that win-win. Okay. So why are they important? So if we can live our values both inside and out of work, we can increase our life satisfaction. We can lead a better life and we can avoid burnout. Number one thing I notice about people who are getting burned out and they're overwhelmed is they're not living their values. They are diving into work, they're running a project. If they loved that project and that project was super important to them and that project was really meeting their values, they wouldn't burn out. They would enjoy it. They would love it. They would get totally stuck in. But it's when you're doing something in life that doesn't meet your values, that's when really problems occur, stress levels increase. So if we know others' values, we can also help to motivate them more. We can avoid arguments with them, or we can sort of find that middle ground, find that win-win that's going to be effective in working together. So here are some examples of values. So of course we have our values cards, which are a fantastic tool. Please reach out to your Shine or Clark Morgan account manager, and they can help you to get these cards. But we also have an online version. Hopefully you've all got the online version open. So I'll just give you 30 seconds just to have a look at those lists of all those different values. And your values might not be listed there. You might have something different, and that's fine because we can use our wildcard to create a different value. But just have a quick look at those lists. And I just want you to grab a pen and paper and just jot down which ones jump out to you as being most important. So for me, fun, change and variety, leadership, integrity, friendships, very important for me, adventure, challenge, kind of the same thing there for me. All right. And then what we'll do is we will go into our Values Connect tool. And we'll give you a chance to create your values pyramids. So creating your top 10, ranking them. Now, this is quite tricky. How do you rank your values? How do you put one above the other? It's an interesting process. So this is what we will do together. Let me share the website. So Jeanette has shared in the chat room. If you'd like to click that link, vc.shine8tech.com/login, then this will take you to this page here and put in your name and your password. And you can go into, I'll look in here. It'll take you into your values dashboard. And then if you click on Values Connect, so click on this button here, this will give you a chance to sort your values. So we'll do this together. So please follow along. So you've got 52 values. And what we're going to do is we do need, it does take a little bit of time. And we are going to, clarify which of these is most important to us, which is very important, which is important, which is less important. So community activities, I'm saying that's, yeah, it's important. Change of variety, very important for me. Challenge, very important. Balance at the moment, not so important. Yeah, altruism, helping society, affiliation, nah. So if you just begin to go through and think about which category does each of them fall into for you? So just going to go through. Be honest as you go through this. A lot of people do put health as very important, but we do need to realize, are we really being honest there? Perhaps we should be making health very important, but if we're absolutely honest, perhaps it's not so important to us. This is especially the case if you've joined a gym, but you never actually go to the gym, you might want to consider that perhaps health is not as important as other things. Perhaps, time with family kind of supersedes you going to the gym, time with friends, So we need to be honest with ourselves about what's most important. And also begin to think, perhaps there are some things that we need to shift. So for a lot of people, health should be higher, but in fact, it's not. Fun for me, very, very high up. So is friendship. Flexibility is very nice. Financial reward, yeah. So just go through the list. Ideally, you're going to have 10 to 15 also very important, because what we're going to do is once you've got those very important ones, we're going to rank them in the top 10. So just keep going through. And if you do have any challenges with passwords or anything like that, I can see Amanda, you have, please reach out to your account manager or to Jeanette or Sissa, who can help you just double check. They maybe can sort out your password for you. If you can't do it along with us, you can just do it with a pen and paper and think about what are the most important ones. And so you will go through them and hopefully you will complete your 52. You can add a wild card. So for example, if there's something that wasn't in that list that is important to you, you can add it. So for example, for me, as I mentioned, to shine is actually extremely important to me. And it's not in the list because it's not such a common one. So to shine for me means to be at my best and to help other people to shine. So it kind of is connected with helping others. But I'm going to create one called shine, and I'm going to add that as a wild card. Okay, and then I can click next once I've completed that. And it's going to give me a chance to arrange my values in a pyramid. So I'm going to put number 1, I shine. So just click on the card and then give it the number that you think it's placed. So number 1 means that's the top, that's the most important to you. This is quite an interesting process because it's a bit weird because you're going to go, which one is more important? Sometimes it feels a little bit strange. You're like, oh, it should be this, but actually, if I'm being honest, it's going to be this. Family, I think for me, it's going to be number 2. Fun. Number 3. Challenge. So I'm going to put them in the top 10. Health should be higher. Not so consistent. Oh, and I've got 2 left over. I've already got helping others, so I'm going to leave that one out because I think that one's covered with the helping others. So sometimes you will find that certain values kind of overlap with others, and that's okay. You could either remove one that overlaps, or you could put them together. Up to you, whatever works for you. So just ranking your top 10. Give me a thumbs up when you're finished. I'll give you a minute. Now we've set up these accounts for you with the Values Connect for 3 months. So you can come back to this later. What I do find with this process is that you do it once and it's good. And you can like, get some insight from it, but it's great to come back to it and go deeper and really reflect, sleep on it. Don't do it again today. Do it tomorrow, day after, next week. Put a little note in your calendar. Come back to it. Have a look. Go deeper. And so once you've got your top 10, you're then going to click on next. And you're going to just share a little bit about what the value means to you. So we haven't got much time in this session. So I'm just looking for a few words as to what the value means to you, not a long essay. So for example, creative expression for me means tapping into something fresh learning, new content. I love creating new training materials, choosing new songs for my spinning class, running new games with my kids, nieces and nephews. That would be how I would explain creative expression. Now, for other people, creative expression might be, I just love playing on the guitar, playing some new tunes, or I love painting, getting my paints out and getting messy and just making something beautiful. It can be very different to different people. So don't assume that your value means the same thing to you as it means to other people. It can actually mean something quite different. So if you do see someone else's values pyramid, you need to have a conversation with them, get to understand a bit more. So I'm going to add a few explanations. So to shine means to be best spelling. So once you've added it, just I love so my family is connecting, sharing, teaching my kids something, having fun family times, doing escape rooms. My family and I love to do. Have you guys ever done an escape room? You get locked in a room together. You've got all these puzzles you have to solve. We love doing those with our kids. Really, really fun. Okay, so next one, fun. So I've just bought myself a motorbike. This is definitely a challenge for me. I'm learning at the moment, and I'm going to be taking my test soon. That's super important. A lot of life satisfaction. Just add a few words. Describe what it means to you. Spinning class for me. Hiking. Love it when I see my team members grow and learn and develop themselves. Fantastic. Okay, so I've gone through all those, and it will cycle round if I go through, so I can sort of just review, just check on those. Once you've completed them, you can then click next. As Jeanette says, you do have 3 months to play with this account. So you can play after the session. You can come back to it if you need a little bit more time. And then what you'll do is you will create some goals. So what I'm going to let you do is actually just let you get into a breakout room to share your values. You don't have to share all 10 because we're probably not going to have enough time to go through all of them. But I'll put you back into the same breakout room that you were in before, so that you can kind of reflect and say, you know, I know a few of you just had a couple of values. So what else did you choose? What insights did you gain? So I'll give you another 9 minutes to share in your breakout room before we go back into setting goals for your values. Okay, so here are your breakout rooms, and I've got to add Norman and Amanda to breakout rooms as well. Welcome back. All right, hopefully you had a chance to share, to perhaps get to know each other a little bit better. So I ran this session actually with this deck of cards at Cathay Pacific, the Hong Kong airline, a couple of years ago. And after the sharing, one of the managers turned to me and said, Andy, I think this is probably the fastest way to really get to know someone. And I said, I think you might be right. Because it's when you really know someone's values, what you're doing is you're learning about their past, you're learning about their history, about the world, what makes them tick, what drives them. you really get to know them better. So it's a wonderful thing if you can find out the values of your team members, of your manager, really super valuable, of your husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, very, very useful. And it will surprise you. I did this with my wife, and I looked at the top 10. Some of them were obvious, like family, I knew that. But some of them I was like, ah, really? That's interesting. Ah. And then it made me realize, ooh, yeah, that's why we had the argument the other day about, okay, write that down. So please, please do this with your significant other. You can share your link, your login with friends, family, your team members. Just get them to do their values. Or just use the words, get them to do it on pen and paper is also fine. But it's a great way to really get to know people better. Ariel, what did you learn from that process?
What did I learn? I thought that my value is so strong, but when you show so many different pictures, that my primary is a little bit like changed. So the one that I keep in mind that love is very important, but then it becomes like the center of only at the center of the primary. The top one is diversity. Change to the top one is diversity. But then I also noticed that the primary is not that only showing that the top one is that top priority. It's more like the primary, the base is the one to be that the base is that like our background or the concrete base. So we have those 4 base. Then we have these 3, then we have the 2, then we have the top one. That's what I learned.
I love it. I love it. So you got that foundation to your pyramid. I love it. Really nice insight. One thing I do find is that I'm like greedy. I want more than 10. I want like 15. I want 20. And you can do it if you want. If you find that valuable, you could add in another layer if you wanted to. But getting it down to the top 10, really focusing it, really nice thing to do. Thank you so much for sharing. And it is interesting because sometimes you have an idea. You think, okay, oh, love is my number one, definitely. And then you actually reflect and go, actually, it's not. It's diversity, and that's really useful because then you can start to take actions to go, okay, so how can I make sure I'm living diversity more? And that can give you more love in your life as well. So very cool. Very cool. Thank you. Roy, how about for you?
Yeah, I think I think this activity is really good to remind us what our values, and just like some other people just shared, their value is health, but they just really don't have any action to do about their health. So I think these activities really make us know what are our concern, and also we need to set our goal to get to the value. And then I think this is the main task that what we are going to do today. And I think I also choose most of value related to family and money, just I mentioned. But I think this is the biggest value for me.
You got financial reward in there.
And
it's a joke because the thing is, it will change over time. And so in 5 years or 10 years time, there's quite likely going to be a shift in values, and just be open to it. Because what the danger will be if you keep living that financial reward value, but actually your values have begun to shift, then you can get into burnout. And so you need to kind of keep coming back, reflecting and going, okay, so how have my values changed? The second that you have kids, your values shift. Suddenly family jumps up enormously for almost everybody. I'm sure there's some random people it doesn't, but that's a big thing. I mean, it's interesting. It's not normally when you get married It's normally when you have kids, that's a big shift. Obviously, if you have a health issue, or if somebody important to you has a major health issue, health leaps up super high as well. So just be, keeping that awareness of how values shift. Going into lockdown, your values are likely to shift as well, because you kind of have to reflect and go, okay, hang on, there are certain difficulties or challenges in living my life, and I'm going to have to shift the way that I express myself, and you're going to have to rework out, how can I still live my values even though I have this constraints of being in lockdown, for example. Good stuff. Great insight. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, let's jump back to the system and have a look at the goals section. So this is quite cool. So you can kind of choose which ones you want. We've created it so that you have to choose 3, forces you to make 3 goals. So you're gonna have to dig deep. One thing that's quite nice about this is that we have some examples. So you can click on the values, and then you can click on the goal examples, and you can see, okay, so fun, I could launch a new way to gamify my teams, work goals, start a competition. I could purchase a selection of games and activities I could run with my team, my friends, my family. So these are some nice examples, just to give you a little bit of a nudge and kind of think, would one of those goals be good for me? So you can actually click on the goal example. So actually, you know what? I do need to get back into playing games with my family, because it's something we used to do it a lot. But I haven't done it for a while. So I'm going to have to set a family game night where, instead of just watching TV, because we've been watching a lot of TV recently, and I'm going to start that tomorrow. Okay, and then I just have to confirm that goal. I like that goal. Okay, and that will give you that. You see, I have a progress bar along the bottom. So once you confirm the goal.
Oh, but this one is too complicated. You need to check with your kids first.
Yeah, but that's okay. They're just next door. I can go grab them now. Hey kids, when should we do family game night? They love family games.
Okay.
So it should be.
Help daddy to finish achieve my goal.
Yes, exactly. They're going to help me. No problem. Friendships. I'm going to create a goal here. I have an old friend who moved to Japan, and I need to catch up with him because he's a really good friend. I haven't talked to him for a long time, and he's a lovely guy, and he's having his 2nd kid in a few months' time. And we promised, we caught up. I caught up with him 2 weeks ago, and I need to catch up with him again. So I'm going to add that again. I can show goal examples. So these are some nice ones. You want to make this a little bit more specific. I'm going to confirm that goal. And health. So I was running a session on resilience last night for an American group of Americans, and they were great fun. We had a really good session. I've got another one this evening as well. And one of the ladies, she said that she started doing yoga with her family, and she's got 2 sons who are 10 and 13. And she said, we all went together and they loved it. They had a really fun time. And we were challenging each other as to who can do the best yoga poses. And I just thought, that's really cool. We should do that. Because it's one of the things that we want to do with our goals is create a win-win-win, not just a goal that fits one of your values. What's great, if you can set a goal that fits many values. So for example, if I do yoga with my family, primarily it's health, but it's also fun. It's family. It's kind of helping others because we're all improving our health. And it's a challenge. And it's something different. So it's change and variety. So I'm kind of living many of my values at once. And that's super cool, because that's going to be something that is going to be exciting. It's going to keep going, and it's going to be something that's going to bring a lot of joy to all of us. So I really like those goals where you could get to live multiple values at the same time. So family, yoga once a week. So I'm going to have to find a yoga center somewhere close to me. I'm just going to jump on Google or whatever search. Some yoga centers don't allow kids. So I'm going to have to find one that is family friendly.
Andy, I would like to suggest you to find a yoga master to your home. That is, the atmosphere is also very different.
That's true. That's true. So I could do both, or yoga master to come over. And then we have to get the yoga mats. I might need to buy yoga mats. I'll jump on Taobao or Amazon and get those. But that's part of it. I like it. I like it. Yeah, getting the yoga master to come over, that'd be interesting. We could maybe do it in the garden. We're very lucky here in London. I actually have a garden, which is quite nice. If it's not raining, we could do it outside and do sort of downward facing dog in the garden. I'm going to set the start date. Okay, and confirm that goal. So I've now got 3 out of 3 complete. You can add more if you want to. All right, and then I can finish. And what's nice here, so you've successfully completed your values cards. I'm going to export my report to PDF, and that's going to give me a report that will download to my computer automatically. And if I can share the report with you. So here we go. So it's got the date, even the date and the time. And so it gives you a little bit of the introduction to values. And this is my top 10 pyramid. So this is quite nice because I can share this with my family or with my friends or with my boss or with my team members. And I find when you share your values, then it just really opens up other people to sharing theirs. Because some people, sometimes your team members are a little bit shy, a little bit reluctant to share, because they might think, well, why do you want to know what's important to me? You know, you're going to use it to manipulate me. And no, it's all about supporting you and helping you live your best life and supporting your values. So then here's what I've written in. I can go back to it and I can add more detail to this. So it's really good. So I would highly recommend go back to your values at some point in the next 10 days and take the time to go deeper and add a lot more detail, because you'll get more insight. The more you do this, the more insight you'll get. And it's really nice to go back and reflect a bit more deeply and say, is this really my value? Or is there something deeper? Is there something more important? Here are the suggested goals. So this automatically drops into your values report. Obviously, because Shine is one of the wild cards, it doesn't have any suggested goals. But here are the suggested goals are added here. And that can give me a chance to think, okay, which of these goals would be good for me? Is there another goal that I should add? Okay, and here are my goals. Again, I've just done quick and dirty goals. It's not much detail here, but I can go back, I can add more, make them smarter, more specific, more measurable, you know, achievable, realistic, time bound, etc. And here at the end of the values report, we also give you some examples of the language that you can use with your team members. If you know that they have a certain value, then these are some examples. So we've just got some nice motivating phrases, both towards and away from. There's an example of an away from. So for example, with fun, any ideas on what we can do to make the event more interesting? Experiential activities, we want to make sure everyone's engaged. You know, it's going to be a blast. Are you okay to come? These are some things that if somebody's motivated by fun, could be a good way for you to help motivate them and connect with their values. So we give you some examples there. And there are some really nice coaching questions at the end of the report. Number one, you know, how can you live your values more at work? But also, how can you live your values more at home as well, in your free time? How can you and a significant other support each other in living your values more? So how can you support your husband or wife in living their values? Because that's really what, you know, that partnership is all about, is helping your partner to be the best version of themselves and to live in a way that's really important and satisfying for them. So great to support that. I noticed one of my friends, he set a goal for weight loss and health, and his wife started cooking more meals for him that were much healthier. And so that was, and he just absolutely loved that. And that was just such a really nice way to show love and to support him in living that value. So yeah, thinking about how can we help our team members live their values more. Communicating more effectively with somebody who has different values to you. This is interesting, particularly if you know somebody in your team has very different values to you. That can be someone who's really tough to communicate with, because it's like they're from a different planet and you're kind of like, oh, how do I communicate with this person? But if you know their values, you can begin to think about, okay, what could I say differently that's going to help them help reach their wavelength, talk in the same level and fit with their values. So there's some really nice questions at the end of the report that you might want to reflect on. And great for you to run through this with your team members, your significant other, your manager, to kind of reflect. This is also really, really nice, especially for career development. So if you've got someone who's thinking about their future in the organization and you want to keep them in your company, it's great to know their values, because then you can think about, okay, so what position in our company would help them to live their values the most? Do they need to change their department? Do they need to become customer facing or client facing? Because actually their values reflect that they have a lot of need for socializing, and perhaps they don't get that so much in their current role in the organization. So great for you to kind of think about, okay, what move in the organization would help them live their values more? And that way you can have a much more highly engaged employee who loves their work and shows up and is super passionate, and is energized by what they're doing. So this is required. Stop the sharing there. Hopefully that's useful for you. Roy, did you manage to download the report yet, or are you still working on it?
Yeah, I got the report.
Anything useful for you in the report?
I need to double check.
There's quite a lot in it. I realize. Yes, spend some time, enjoy it, go through it, answer the questions. Really nice to do. Thank you. Ariel, did you get the report?
Well, I enjoy too much about writing, so I'm still writing in what does the value mean to me? and what is the experience.
Take your time, enjoy it, enjoy the process.
Yes, and definitely
Good.
I will bring this form to my teammates and also to my family during the Easters or next week.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. I love it. Thank you so much. That's what it's for, you know. Share, you got to share the love with other people. And it's, you know, it's such a nice way to connect, to understand people more deeply. And it's what it does, you know, when you start those conversations, is it really helps your team members to realize that you care about them, right? You don't just care about them showing up to work, but you care about what's most important for them in their lives. And if there's a way for you to change how you manage them, that's going to help support their values, they are going to love you as a boss. They're going to be like, best boss ever. So great to do that. All righty, we are at time now. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like a physical pack, a deck of cards, please do reach out to your account manager or to Jeanette or Susa, who's on the call now. The cards are really nice actually, because you can sort of play with them and put them in different places, and you can also give them to team members. It makes it really easy, really nice. Or if you want to purchase some accounts of the Values Connect for your team members, please let us know. It'd be fantastic to support you with those. Have a fantastic rest of your day that's filled with living your values and making the most out of your life and lots of satisfaction. And please do something different. Set those goals, take some action based on what we've learned here today, and make some magic happen. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Great to see you.
Thank you.